Welcome to Superhuman Customs. I'm Steven Human. This is the channel where we just customize action figures, and today we're doing two. This Flash is going to be really simple. We're just going to kind of gloss him up and maybe add a three-dimensional symbol to him. We'll see. I've got one that I cut off of another figure, so we'll see. But the main focus is Aquaman. Okay, so what we're going to do with this one, this is obviously, these are both the video game ones that came with the dark side that we already did. But what we're going to do is we're going to turn him into a hook hand bearded Aquaman. And we're going to keep him in this, we're going to gold it all up and make it look really cool. But that's my favorite version of Aquaman, is when he's got the beard and he's got the hook hand from the 90s. And so that is what we are going to do. He came with the trident, and the trident is kind of perfect for the hook. So this is going to be awesome. I'm way more excited about an Aquaman than I ever thought that I would be. So let's dive in and make him 100% unique. Time has come for the milliput on this guy. I'm going to try and thin it out as best I can. Put it on here, and then we'll add the lines to make it look like a beard. Then we should be good. Like I said when I was doing dark side, this metallic milliput just, it's a little bit more brittle in the clay phase when you're actually molding like this. Like regular milliput, I can get pretty thin and have it hold together, and this just doesn't as well. So yeah, I'll go back to regular milliput. All right, not bad. Let's let it dry, then we'll paint it up so everything starts to match. So I have a couple of three-dimensional Flash symbols that I've taken, whoops, I'm dropping them, that I've taken off of other figures. There's this one, which would be easier to attach, but is quite a bit smaller. And then I've got this one, where'd it go? Here it is. That it matches the size, but I'm gonna have to kind of trim it down. But that will give us a three-dimensional symbol, which I prefer. So I think we're gonna go with this one. It is the Wally West symbol. And this is I believe this is Wally West anyway, because this is from that time period when he was the Flash, and he's my favorite Flash. So I'll trim this down and we'll get this in place before we paint him. Got some glue on his symbol. I've taken this and I've ground it down so that it's thinner. And I'm just going to get it in place right over the symbol. And it is like perfect. It is almost the exact same size. So I'm just gonna press it, get it in place, and then we can start painting this guy. And moving on to Aquaman's beard. Because I want this guy to match before I do anything to update the hair, we're just gonna paint the beard yellow. And then we'll do some stuff with, washes and things, but I want it to be able to match. I don't want it to look weird. So just starting with a regular yellow Vallejo paint, we're gonna go over his beard, get it all taken care of, and then start working on some details. Or probably just start working on his hand, his hook hand. So I'm gonna warm this arm up and pull that out, and then we can put the hook in place. Now I wanted to point out, this is one of the reasons why I keep all of the stuff. Like if I cut off a symbol, like here's a Superman symbol. It's been cut in half. I used it for a figure like 3 years ago. I ended up removing it, but we can use this on the Superman from this same line. I'll have to figure out how to do something with the the cut in the middle. But that's why I keep all of it, because like I had no plans of doing a Flash, but by keeping this symbol, I'm able to give this guy a three-dimensional symbol and paint him up and do all that stuff. So keep all of those things, don't throw them out, because you never know when they're going to come in handy. So you can see here we've got his trident, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cut off one of these edges, and you can see that it does make basically the perfect shape of what his hook hand was. Then we'll cut back here at the base. And if I heat this up, I think I can get it to fit in the arm here. So that's what we're gonna do next. I'm just gonna heat this up with some hot water, shove it in there, and see if we can make it work. Look at that, it worked. Just heated it up with some hot water, got it in there. That thing is snug, it's not coming out. I'm not even gonna need to glue it. That is wonderful. Next stage for Aquaman is we are gonna go over every inch, well, not his face, but his hair and his chest and his beard with a brown wash, because I want to be able to get this darkened up before we start doing all of the extra stuff. So with the hair, we're probably just going to go over it with the yellow after this again in order to, with the dry brush to heighten it. But we're going to go over gold with everything else. And it's already got some darker textures and things, but I want those in there, in between the scales, so that when we do the gold over the top, we can brush it over and it'll still have some texturing to it. And you can see how the wash just gets in there in the hair. That's what we're after. Really make it so this guy comes to life, and then we'll lighten up. Always start dark and then lighten up. While Aquaman's drying, I'm gonna go over Flash with the metallic red. And as all of you know, this is my least favorite metallic, but you go on nice and smooth, it gives it a nice look, and then you go over with some airbrush red, which is very, very liquidy, and you tend to get a really nice hit on him. So that's what I'm gonna do. Nice and simple. They're both looking good at this point, and now it's time for gold. I'm just gonna go over the top like this, and while I'm here, I'm gonna go over his stuff so that all of this is gold too. So that's gonna be our next step, hitting every little piece. The great thing is that I'm gonna have the belt be gold too, but because it's a different yellow, it's actually gonna be a different gold. So it'll stand out and look different, but you can already tell that's gonna look so cool. And my children are playing with a microphone apparently. So, yep, that's how things go here in the human household. The same thing will happen with the belts, with the hook here, is that it will be a lighter yellow, lighter gold, and it will stand out from the rest of the figure. You might need to do more than one coat on something like this in order to get the look that you want, but you'll know once you've got it on there. Now let's get his symbol painted here in the same gold. The rest of it we're just gonna probably do white because normally he just has a white symbol with no black outlines. So we'll get this and then we'll figure it out. I think I might do it white and then do a light metallic over the top to make it look, more metal, but it's looking good, this Flash. I was just touching up some silver on the Flash's symbol, and I decided I'm gonna do just right here a little layer of silver, like as a connection point between his arm and the hook. Something simple, but I think it'll look good. All right, the time has come to add some yellow dry brush to lighten up his hair. And using yellow is hard because it's a very, very liquidy color. And so oftentimes you gotta kind of put more on there and just go up lightly, and that will get you the look that you want. Otherwise, you're gonna be disappointed. It's just how yellow works. It is one of my least favorite colors. But you can see it'll do what you need it to do if you use it correctly. So I debated on whether keeping him just like he is or adding the Model Air Red, and I've decided to add the Model Air Red because it's going to really even everything out, make him look super cool. So that's what I'm doing now. It should be pretty quick because this stuff goes on really fast. But as you can see, you can already tell the difference. Before we move on to the green pants and stuff, I kind of want to finish up the hair, and it needs a white dry brush just to bring out the edges, add another texture to it. Time for some nice green shade, and then this guy will be done. I love how this works. I'm so glad I figured this out on that, oh god, it was years ago. It was the Neron figure, about how, because I didn't like this metallic green, or just the metallics in general, and I figured out that the green shade over the top looked really, really nice, and then it kind of changed everything about how I do these metallics. So yeah, look at that. That's gonna look so good. I'm excited for this guy. And here we go, Flash and Aquaman. I didn't get a close-up of the Flash, but let's take a look at Aquaman before and after. I think they both turned out pretty great. They're gonna look good on the shelf. The Flash, obviously his symbol isn't quite as perfect as if it were, if it came from a factory in China. It's got a little bit of flaws around the edges because when I cut it off originally, it did cut it a little bit. And so that's just the name of the game when you're doing this sort of stuff and it's all handmade. Things aren't gonna be machine made, so they're not gonna be perfect, but you can get them pretty close. And this guy at toy distance, where you're looking at him, if in your hands, he looks pretty dang good. And definitely on the shelf. I'm gonna have all of these characters together with Darkseid, and next week we're gonna do Superman and Batman. So this has been fun. It's fun to take these characters and do fun things with them. And yeah, I hope you guys are customizing and having fun. I'm Stephen Human. Check out StephenHumanAuthor.com for all my sci-fi thriller novels. And I'll see you guys next week with another custom.